This is Keep On Cooking, a podcast for people who love cookbooks and want to know more about the authors. It's also a great place to get a weekly dose of culinary inspiration to keep things pumping in the kitchen. So grab a cookbook and keep on cooking. I'm Dustin Harder, and this is Keep On Cooking. Hello and welcome to Keep On Cooking, the only podcast dedicated to plant-based cookbooks. I'm your host, Dustin Harder, and it's just me this week, flying solo, high flying adored, to name that musicale. A fun little game we love to play here on the Keep On Cooking podcast is Name That Musicale. Listen, I'm here this week to talk to you about a book called Vegan Junk Food. Hey, near and dear to my heart, and I know probably yours too. And if it's not, if vegan junk food's not your thing, listen, you probably are not even pressing play on this episode because it's in the title of it. So, and that's fine. You can move on to, one of the other ones that's focused on vegetables. I myself like to have some vegan junk food from time to time. I like to have a little balance in my life. You know what I'm saying? And it can be nostalgic. It can bring you a little joy on a hard day. All those things, The point is to maybe not to turn to it too often, but also live your life. No judgment. It's called Vegan Junk Food, a Down and Dirty Cookbook by Zacchary Bird. Listen, Zacchary Bird is a writer and vegan recipe developer based in Melbourne, Australia. And Zacchary is on a mission to veganize everything he can. This book, Vegan Junk Food, a Down and Dirty Cookbook, is his first cookbook. Zacchary Bird is a very popular social media personality. Listen, he cracks me up. I love following him on Instagram. He's at Zacchary Bird. So it's 2 C's in there. Zacchary Bird, BIRD. He's probably on TikTok too, the youth. This book, Vegan Junk Food, a Down and Dirty Cookbook, was released in 2020 by Smith Street Books and was called a real winner by New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern. His follow-up cookbook, The Vegan Butcher, which I happen to also have right here, The Vegan Butcher, was the 2021 winner of PETA's Best Vegan Cookbook. And now he's got another book coming out in October. So it's The Vegan Baker. Also holding it up if you're watching. It's got this great embossed cover on it. Such a gorgeous cover. I love it. All 3 of these books are really hardy, sturdy books. I love them. But this is coming out October 3rd, The Vegan Baker. It's available for pre-order now. I have this beautiful advanced copy. And I got to tell you, there have been some bananas sitting around my house, and I know how this goes. So my husband, David, will always be like, oh, I'm going to make banana bread with that. And he lives a very, very busy life. And so I always watch these bananas as they start to turn brown, and then they slowly start to turn black. And nothing grosses me out more than an overripe banana. It just really grosses me out. And he'll always be like, oh, I'm going to make banana bread with it. And I know his intentions are good, but I also know his life is busy. And for me, this is just popping the bananas and doing the thing. And I get down in the kitchen in a different way. I understand that. So I was just like, last night I was like, I got to put these bananas to use or I'm going to lose my mind. And he was out in a meeting somewhere, a work meeting. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to do it. And so I looked up bananas in this baking book thinking, well, what does Zacchary have to offer me in the banana world? And I thought maybe there'd be a few, but there was just a banana bread. And I was like, oh, another banana bread. And I was like, well, listen, you want to make something from this book? Because he's going to be on the podcast. I should have said that too. He's going to be on the podcast to talk about the Vegan Baker later this year, which I'm so excited to have him as a guest. I'm really, really thrilled. But I was like, what can I make from here? And all that's in there with bananas is the banana bread. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm making his banana bread. Let me tell you, everyone, I have my own banana bread recipe that I've made for a very long time. I also think I have in one of my books, like banana bread 3 ways, like 3 different ways to mix in different things to it. So like, I love me a banana bread and I can make a banana bread. But this banana bread in The Vegan Baker by Zacchary Bird is hands down the best banana bread I've ever had in my entire life. And when I made it, I like licked the spoon after I put everything into the pan, and I was like, why is this so good? One of the things he does is he uses vegan, you can use vegan sour cream or vegan yogurt. I used a Greek style vegan yogurt in it, and I think that's maybe his secret to it, but also it's just like super balanced. Like it wasn't too sweet, it was perfectly moist, it was baked all the way through. Like it was so good. And David came home and he was a little upset I used the bananas to make banana bread. This always happens, I'm telling you. I make the banana bread and he's like, I was gonna make banana. I'm like, I know you were, babe, but the bananas were basically starting to like rot in themselves. So I told him I'd get him more bananas and he can make banana bread anytime he wants. Anyways, um, but then I gave him a piece of this bread and I was like, listen, and we love the banana bread recipe we've been making that we've made. Like, I think my banana bread recipe is a veganized version of a banana bread that David's mom made for us like years ago. So I was like, oh, I must veganize that. And then of course I like put it in a book, right? But I was like, David, it's going to be the best banana bread you ever have. And I gave it to him. He was like, oh my God, why is this so good? It is just phenomenal. So I feel like that's sort of how Zacchary rolls. That's sort of how he does the dang thing. And I really can't wait to make more things out of The Vegan Baker by Zacchary Bird. Now it's got so many things and he's just fun and really a genius in the kitchen. And as I mentioned, he's going to be on the podcast later this year talking about the vegan baker. So I thought before he was on, let me take a look at a couple of his other books. And of course, this one that is near and dear to my heart, as I said, Vegan Junk Food. Um, and I just this we all know Epic Vegan is essentially a junk food book, and my dear friend Natalie Slater of Bacon Destroy, she's got her Bacon Destroy cookbook, which I don't think is necessarily a junk food cookbook, but it's those fun sort of like creative things. She's got some good salads in there too, y'all. But it's like I really gravitate, and I know a lot of the world does, towards the junk food because that's what we grew up on. That's what, the world has pushed in our face. And so to use these recipes for fun and nostalgic and parties, and even if you're just there, sometimes I'm like, I just want to dive in and I want to make something that, I want to make a Philly cheesesteak or whatever it is, right? So that's one of the fun things one of the fun reasons behind a book like this is you can go make things that maybe are nostalgic to you or that you have a craving for, right? Now, a little bit about this book. Most veggie and vegan cookbooks tend to focus on the green juice cleanse, salt lamp, lentil centric aspect of plant-based diet. I'm reading this description right from the press release that I got with the book. But what about those of us who dream of a greasy burger all day and all night, but can't justify eating animal products? Or those of us who just want to opt out of the environmentally unsustainable meat industry? Or anyone keen to broaden their culinary horizons and dip their toes into the waters of veganism? It's for these folks that Zacchary Bird gives the world vegan junk food. In the dips and snacks chapter, you'll find buffalo cauliflower dip and dank poutine. Ooh, first of all, I don't like the word poutine. And then when you put the word dank with poutine, not a fan, but here we are. It's in the press release. Under sandwiches, burgers, and dogs, there's plant-based souvlaki and beef and bacon burgers. In the upsize, Zacchary goes all out with Korean spicy fried chicken and meat loathers pizza. Ooh, meat loathers pizza. Cheeky, Zacchary. And that's before dessert. Ooh, vegan junk food won't have you searching through Whole Foods for 5 hours just to find one obscure spice blend. I mean, let's call it what it is. These recipes are supermarket ready and can be made by even the most novice chef, because who said that living without meat meant that you couldn't get greasy as fuck? Well, whoever said it was wrong, and this book is cruelty-free proof. I love it. So let's just dive right into Vegan Junk Food, a down and dirty cookbook. Ooh la la. So if you're looking at it, you're looking, or if you're not, I'm telling you, you're listening. It's got a really bright red and yellow cover, which if you're paying attention, that's covers the colors of McDonald's. I wonder how intentional that was, but it's designed in a very fun look that's very fast foody, and I'm into it. But let's see what we got in here. So we've got an introduction where he talks all about it, and then an ingredients guide. So he's going to talk you through some ingredients that you need. Look at this cute picture of him with the mustard and the ketchup. I've not released the photos yet, but I actually just did a photo shoot where I was squirting mustard and ketchup all over myself. Not that sounds like I was like naked squirting mustard and ketchup. I was squirting it into the sky. I didn't think of this though. He's got it like it's squirting on him, but he's got some splatters already on him. We didn't really plan it out. We laid a tarp down and then I squirted some mustard and ketchup everywhere essentially, and like it got all over the back of me somehow. It like squirted up into the air and like went on the back of me. Oh, anyway, so ingredient guide, he's got agar, and he talks about alcohol, aquafaba, banana blossoms, cheese, chickpea flour, fish sauce. Now let's see. Vegan versions can be found, talking about fish sauce, at specialty stores. He is correct. Okay. And some Asian markets. If you can't source it, replace it with soy sauce or just leave it out. Flax seeds, gluten flour, vital wheat gluten, gums, guar, xanthan, honey replacements, calonomic. He talks about that. And then he's got lactic acid in here, great for adding cheesy sourness into recipes. Food grade lactic acid can be a little tricky to source, so you may need to resort to the internet. If you can't find it, substitute with a far smaller portion of the easier to find citric acid. Look at that. Tips and tricks from the jump. Liquid smoke. Talks about liquid smoke in here. Milk, MSG, mustard, nutritional yeast, stock, TVP, Worcestershire sauce, and yogurt, spelled with an H because he's Australian. Okay, so dips and snacks is our first chapter. He says, this chapter puts your deep frying skills to good use by frying all manner of ingredients in sizzling oil. Start with something simple like fried pickles or fried green tomatoes, then take it up a level with jalapeno poppers and mozzarella sticks. The final challenge is tackling the deep fried lasagna. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Which is just as delicious as how you're imagining it to be. Of course, not everything here is deep fried. There's grilled Mexican street corn with 3 different toppings and even a dip with an entire cocktail dumped in it. What? Booze and all. Recommended portion sizes are just a state of mind. These dips and snacks can all be served as mains if you've got nobody to share with and the right attitude. I really love his writing style. He makes me giggle at all the things he writes. He makes me giggle at his Instagram all the time. He really is just a really funny, awesome dude. He's one righteous dude. I just watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off for the first time in a long time. Someone was watching it on a plane a few weeks ago, and I could see over, when you're on a plane, you like see somebody's movie playing on the screen. But they were watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And I remember I did not like that movie as a youth. I was like, what's the big deal about this movie? But I was like, why don't I give this, classic film another try again? So I did, and like it was fine. The same thing happened for me that used to happen. When you get to the scene where he's like in the parade and he's singing on the float, after that, the movie just kind of drops out for me. The friend Cameron has like that sort of like breakdown, and like Ferris has to like run to beat the cars home. Like all these things happen where I'm like, I'm not really invested anymore. But all that to say, the secretary says about Ferris Bueller at that one point, the kids think he's one righteous dude. So I think Zacchary is one righteous dude, if I do say so. Now, okay, let's take a look. So dips and snacks. I mean, he already mentioned them in that intro, but we've got battered mushroom calamari, deep fried mac and cheese balls, sausage rolls. Oh my gosh. And all these photos are so cool, everybody. Everything is so good in here. And I think he must work with the same photographer because there's sort of a thread in all of his books where these photos just very colorful and vibrant and textured. Deep fried lasagnas in here. Southern fried cauliflower. You want it, you know it. Southern fried cauliflower. Crabless cakes. Look at that. He's getting all the goods in here. Crabless cakes. Cashew queso dip. Oh, so good. And it says in here, let's see, it says, if you're making this dip to serve with the nachos or herb stuffed cheese quesadilla on page 92 and 125, serve the salsa on the side as dipping sauce instead of stirring it through the cashew queso. Vegan lactic acid adds a lovely cheesy flavor to dishes. It is available online. I got to tell you, I have not used I have the lactic acid, and I used it, I think, in, I want to say, Brian Watson's fast food vegan cookbook for the cheeses. And that was my first experience. And I really liked it. I don't tend to use it in mine because I do view it as sort of like a specialty ingredient, right? So I haven't turned to it that often, but maybe I'll start looking into it more. Bloody Mary crab cob loaf. Well, so okay, we've got a Bloody Mary in here, and then we've got like a loaf of bread that's got a crab dip in it. Basically, I mean that is inventive and extreme, and it looks really cool. It's got like the Bloody Mary topping stuck inside the crab dip. Fried green tomatoes, got to give you them fried green tomatoes served with a ranch dipping sauce. That's also available in this book. And now we come to the poutine, or as it is noted in the press release, the dank poutine. And this is basically French fries with some, it looks like, so there are a few, for as he says, there are few foods as celebrated as the potato. For example, fries are the finest vegan offering available at many of the world's top restaurants. He's not wrong. Let's elevate that dish the Canadian way with hot gravy and melted cheese. So the poutine is gravy and cheese, y'all, on top of fries. Now, listen, I've had it and it's delicious. That word poutine, it does not sound like a food item to me. Y'all feel me? You know what I'm saying? If you know, you know. Jalapeno poppers, again, with a really great photo in here that makes me just want to make it. Mexican street corn. Now, he said this had 3 toppings on it, so let's see what we are. We've got simple, which is dairy-free melted butter with nutritional yeast for sprinkling. And now listen, I have never put nutritional yeast on corn on the cob, but now I can't imagine not doing it. So I'm very excited to try that. How simple is that? We've got a chili lime topping and also a jalapeno mustard topping. What? So good. All right, our next chapter is sandwiches, burgers, and dogs. He's also got really fun pictures of like the different like fast food items in this book with like faces drawn on them. Very cute, very fun. So sandwiches, burgers, and dogs is the next chapter. Here's what Zacchary has to say. Should I do it in an Australian accent? If someone was to browse the plant-based section at the supermarket, they'd be forgiven by assuming the vegan diet is primarily made up of burger patties. There was a brief moment in time when burgers were a wild fantasy for vegans, but now we can have them every which way, every day. The following pages are a global adventure centered around bread. Make impossibly soft buns for bao or an unceremoniously scoop smoky seitan. What is I lost myself in my own accent by saying I was just impressed that I read the word unceremoniously. It says, or unceremoniously scoop smoky seitan. Scoop is used in a way that I don't understand here necessarily. Anyways, onward. But we're going to find out as we go through the chapter. I have a good feeling. Bell pepper, shallots, and cheese into crusty bread for a Philly faux cheesesteak. Alternatively, replace the bread altogether in a Korean hot dog with a crust made from crinkle-cut fries. Hamburgers are also in plentiful supply, whether they're filled with bahis, built for breakfast, or presented in the burger form of a behemoth, aka the Big Zac. How'd I do? This, by the way, this is not me making fun of an Australian accent. This is me loving an Australian. It's literally my favorite accent. Hands down. I love accents, first of all. And I have to stop myself when I talk to people with accents because it's in my nature. It must be the actor in me to sort of mimic it because I'm so intrigued by it. It's just so fun. It's a different way to talk, right? So I really love an Australian accent. I'm not claiming to be good at it all. That was just fun for me to give that an attempt and read it that way. But go ahead and rate me. Please rate me on a scale of 1 to 10. DM me at the Dustin Harder and let me know how you thought my Australian accent was. I thought it was okay. Give me like a solid like 5. Like I'm in the middle ground, right? Like I could work with a coach and maybe I could get myself up to like a 7 or 8, maybe, right? All right. So what do we have here in the sandwiches, burgers, and dogs chapter? We've got breakfast burritos, with a fresh pico de gallo on there, but this is stuffed with a tofu scramble, black beans, Just looks so yummy and delicious. Some shredded dairy-free cheese, Dijon mustard, lots of stuff in here. Yeah. Ooh, that looks so good. And the scramble looks like it comes together very easily too, with all the things we love, like the culinary in there, egg and bacon muffins. So he's making a egg here with silken tofu, it looks like, and he's putting it on that English muffin. 2 vegan English muffins. Oh, with rice paper bacon. So he's got a rice paper bacon recipe in here. I love that. He's got lox and shmia bagels, Philly faux steak in here. It looks so good. It was served with that cashew queso dip. And then something called a mitralite. He says mitralite is to sub sandwiches what a submachine gun is to pistols. Absolute overkill. This classic Belgian sandwich is so overloaded that it's an attack on your health status. The first clue comes from the fact that the word mitralite directly translates to submachine gun. Secure your helmets before proceeding, he says. So it looks like it's got potatoes on it. Faux meat of your choice, it says. Salt, dairy-free butter, baguette, and there's an andalou sauce. I don't know if that's how you say it. Gosh, everyone, forgive me. But it's a mayonnaise-based sauce, essentially. And it looks outstanding. It does look like a sandwich that you sort of that is gonna have an attack on your health status, as Zacchary says. We got mushroom po' boys up in here, looking so good. I mean, that looks great. The first time I had a mushroom po' boy, I was filming the Vegan Roadie, and I was at a place called The Seed in New Orleans, and it was delicious. So I can't wait to make this one. It's got the tartar sauce. There's a tartar sauce that's from the book in here. Katsu sandos. So he says, opt for the softest, fluffiest, thick cut white bread for these sandwiches. If you're out to impress, you'll want to make the jackfruit filling for strangely meaty results. Huh, interesting. Go for the simpler eggplant version if you just haven't got the time, but need this on a regular basis. Spoiler, you will. So I love that. It's got basically you're creating a meat substitute with either the jackfruit, it looks like, or eggplant, and then you've got a katsu sauce on it. Great recipe in here for some bao buns with some pickled veg in there as well. We love that. Souvlaki. So he's got a nice souvlaki. I love the branding for this book. He's got the souvlaki wrapped in a vegan junk food wrapper as you would get it at a fast food restaurant. Falafel and tabbouleh wraps. I love a good falafel. I don't know about you, but I just do. Falafel and tabbouleh wraps. Satay tofu banh mi. Oh, I love a banh mi. Look at that. So good. I mean, he really does have all the classic sandwiches you're going to want. Here comes the Big Zac. So this is this is also based. This is a Big Mac. So it's a Big Mac sandwich called the Big Zac. And he says in the intro and the header, an iconic flavor combination which I have veganized and bears absolutely no resemblance to a burger with a similar name. It's all handily wrapped up in a bun so you can eat it on the go while avoiding a cease and desist from a multinational fast food corporation. That's right, the Big Zac. The Big Zac. And of course, he gives you a homemade burger patty you can make in here, but a little note says you can also use store-bought vegan burger patties if you are in a rush. Double beef and bacon burgers. Yes. These burgers look so good. They look so good. Just big, mouth-watering, hearty burgers. He's got a bratwurst in here you can make from scratch. The Kogo. So I don't know what that is. He goes, forget what you've heard. South Korea is the new home of the hot dog. In case the photo doesn't do it justice, let's walk through what goes into this feast precariously loaded onto a stick known as a Kogo. It's a corn dog crusted with crinkle cut fries and zigzagged with homemade honey mustard sauce and ketchup. Whoa. Yep, you read that correctly. If you don't have chips to hand, you can substitute them for panko crumbs in a pinch. So here, take a look. Got this picture of the Kogo right there. Wow. I mean, that is impressive that he's got a recipe for the home cook for something like this. That is outstanding. Currywurst. So fry up those leftover bratwurst and put together this easy curried ketchup to throw over the top. That's lovely. All right. So that takes us to the next chapter, which is called Upsize. So he says, I'm not going to do an Australian accent this time. Do not worry. Coming up, our big feast made for sharing, the potluck jackpot. These recipes are perfect for not only bringing people together, but kickstarting a fling with ingredients you might not have had time to get to know yet. Break up with seitan and try novel ways of making meat alternatives using jackfruit, or try our hand at making banana blossom battered fish. TVP, Tex-Mex tacos, or loaded baked potatoes with rice paper bacon. Of course, you'll want to rekindle your relationship with seitan at some point to make Korean fried chicken or the Meat Loathers pizza. Still, I love that title, Meat Loathers Pizza. Get it, Zacchary. This chapter is also home to my signature recipe, Southern Fried Chicken Drumsticks, a global hit with an edible bone made out of cauliflower clad in the chicken-like jackfruit flesh and coated in spices. This is the original vegan chicken drumstick that you can make at home. The others are all imitations. Then again, so are my drumsticks. I love this guy. He's one righteous dude. All right, he's got nachos in here. Longtime listeners, you know I'm finicky over a nacho. It better be right or I'm coming for you. And these look to be particularly right. Nachos need to be loaded with stuff. Or if you're going to be basic about it, which I'm also a fan of, just cheese, some tomatoes. I used to drive through the Taco Bell drive-through before I was vegan, and I would get the Nacho Supreme, which was literally bean, meat, cheese, and tomatoes and sour cream, and I loved it. You gotta have that cheese on them nachos. You gotta be like scooping, and you gotta have things to be scooping and dipping up as far as I'm concerned. These nachos are coming with black beans, garlic, cumin, taco meat, tahine is used in here. Oh, Zacchary, what you doing to me, Zacchary? You got salsa, the cashew queso dip, sweet corn, shredded dairy-free cheese, pickled jalapenos, avocado, sour cream. So see what I mean? He's got it going. He has got it going on here. Now, for my nachos, I'm a little weird. I like to put a lot of vegetables on them. I like to load them up with some crunchy, crispy cabbage and maybe some shredded carrots. But I love all the stuff that he said as well. I love me a pickled jalapeno on a nacho. Come on, let's do it. Southern fried chicken drumsticks he's gotten here. He makes this with a base of jackfruit, y'all. This man is brilliant. He's a bit of a scientist, eh? Fish and chips. He's got a fish and chips in here. He's using banana blossoms for the base of that. Cheesy eggplant parmigiana looks so delicious. Butternut pumpkin mac and cheese. And oh, he's got it in like a takeout tin in the photo here. Oh, that makes me think of New York and ordering something and you get that tin. Terrible for the environment, but fun to look at in this moment. Butternut pumpkin mac and cheese. He says hidden veggies are a dead trend, joining other failed food fads such as salads suspended in jello in the hall of shame. It's time to proudly display your love of vegetables with lumps of pumpkin stirred through this mac and cheese instead of being snuck into the cheese sauce. I love that. I love that. I'm a big fan about wearing your vegetables proud, eating your vegetables with pride. Spanakopita. Am I saying it right? I had Isa Chandra Moskowitz on, and we were talking about the Spanakopita in one of her books, and both of us were like struggling with the pronunciation. But this says it's a proper bunch of dill. A proper bunch of dill is huge. So, you need dill for the recipe, is what he's saying. So if your local supermarket tries to pass off a measly shrub as a whole bunch, use 2 or 3 for this recipe, as dill is our star flavor. The rest of the greens are interchangeable. Fresh or frozen spinach is the standard, but you can use a mix of kale, silver beet greens, green beans, or leeks. Love, love, love. Beefy lasagna. He's got I mean, really, this lasagna that's pictured with the charred top here and melty cheese and meat in there. So beefy lasagna. Okonomiyaki. I don't know what this is. Okonomiyaki. Let's learn something. Let's learn together, family. Okonomiyaki is described by some as a Japanese cabbage pancake and as a Japanese pizza by others with a looser grasp on the concepts of okonomiyaki and pizza. Toppings are open season as vegan okonomiyaki comes from the Japanese word yaki, meaning cooked. Okonomi, meaning as you like, and vegan, which is just an international term for picky eater. Y'all see what I mean? He's funny, he's got jokes. But it's essentially, I mean, sounds like a Japanese pizza to me. Anything with pizza in it, I'm down. But then we get to that title I'm loving. It would make sense these two are together. Meat Loather's Pizza is next. So he's got a pizza dough recipe in here, pizza sauce recipe, and he calls for, the faux mixed meats of whatever you're choosing are essentially Korean spicy fried chicken. Ooh, he makes this with a seitan chickpea chicken that he has a recipe for in this book. But gosh, it looks good. Coated in that good spicy Korean sauce and sprinkled with some white sesame seeds as well. It looks so delicious. And the sauce is made out of garlic, gochujang, tomato ketchup, and vegan honey. He's got a recipe for vegan honey in here too, but if you don't have that, you can use rice malt syrup, which I'm going to guess is brown rice syrup for us here in American, and white vinegar. I mean, so easy, and it looks so good. Tex-Mex tacos, those are next. And again, stunning photo, loaded baked potatoes. Who doesn't love a loaded baked potato? So he's got you covered here with that. Sofritas burrito bowl, like you're stopping at the Chipotle. Pizza waffle. What? 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 Oh my gosh. So he says about this pizza waffle. A calzone in drag, feeling its waffle fantasy. Elevate the look of this dish by replacing the pepperoni with rice paper bacon on the outside of the dough to create waffled in bacon strips for a reveal at the end that could only be beaten if you'd stuff the whole thing with rose petals. I love it. So it essentially looks like stuffed waffle with pizza stuff in it. So very good. Gnocchi with kale chip pesto. All right. And herb stuffed cheese quesadillas. And that takes us to sweets. We're in the sweets chapter, everybody. So we got two more left. We have sweets and basics. And I think I'm mentioning a lot of the basics in here already. So it'll be nice to see when we get to that chapter what are some staple basic items you can make. But we're at my favorite. We all know I have a sweet tooth. So let's see what he has to say about sweets. There's scarcely a fruit to be found in this chapter. We've moved them to the meat alternative recipes so they wouldn't be confused as healthy. The bananas from the usual vegan ice cream recipes have been removed and deep fried instead. The ice creams make investing in a cheap ice cream maker more appealing than ever, with chocolate hazelnut, chai, or an ice cream made with Hershey syrup and sandwiched between two cookies. Alternatively, make your own honey from scratch, then turn it into chocolate-covered honeycomb or baklava froyo. Now listen, I just want to back him up on the ice cream maker. Y'all get yourself an ice cream maker. It is one of the funnest things you can make, and now you got a book you can make them out of too. And if you remember a few episodes ago, I covered the Van Leeuwen book and I did their vegan ice creams. That is another reason to buy an ice cream maker. The vegan ice creams in that book, it just is really a fun item to make in the summer. And when you say to people, "Oh yeah, would you like this ice cream?" and they haven't, they're like, "This is so good." You're like, "Oh, I made it from scratch. Oh, let's do this thing made from scratch." We don't pretend a tin of coconut milk tastes exactly like whipped cream, and the jewel of Australian desserts, fablava, tastes all the better for it. Fablova? Fablova? Fablova, I want to say maybe. The silky soft, I'll ask him when he's on. He's going to be on the podcast. I'll ask him then. The silky soft center that's a must for a proper pavlova hasn't been forgotten and fine. There's a bit of fruit on top too. If you prefer something warm, don't turn your deep fryer off yet. You want to flick to the syrup drenched Greek donuts. Oh my gosh. Or the beer battered chocolate bars. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. These sweets might be vegan, but they're no healthy knockoff. In this chapter, we do it right and don't shy away from good things like fat and sugar. Take your scales out of the bathroom and move them into the kitchen. It's dessert time. Nice. Move your scale into the kitchen. I see you, Zacchary. So that Greek donut is called loukoumades. 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 Zacchary, you are worldly, my friend. You are doing the deep dive for all of us. I've learned so much from going through this book today. Loukoumades, I'm probably saying it wrong, so my apologies. Greek donuts are satisfyingly simple to make. Drowning them in vegan honey and once they're fried is the only golden rule. For a truly authentic serving suggestion, don't make them at all and instead invite around Greek friends or relatives. Trust that they'll be bringing loukoumades alongside a cornucopia of other foods you never asked for, and list of questions as to why you didn't have a partner yet. That's funny. Okay. Tiramisu. So it's a cup of tiramisu as a mousse. Brilliant. Not surprised. Chocolate ice cream and peanut butter cookie sandwiches. Cookies and cream cheesecake. Oh gosh, it's just like, it looks big and towering and wonderful and creamy and cookies and full of cookies and just delicious. Cookies and cream cheesecake. Pavlova. Pavlova is an Australian and Kiwi classic comprising a silky, soft filling and meringue-like crust topped with whipped cream and fruit that's perfect for Christmas. If your experience of vegan pavlova has been a brick of meringue hidden under coconut cream, you've been wronged, and you must try this truer-to-life version instead. I have no doubt, Zachary, that this version is amazing. Deep-fried banana fritters. Come on now. Chocolate hazelnut ice cream. Of course, that sounds delicious. Baklava. Chocolate covered honeycomb bars. Holy crap. Look at that. Oh, and he gives little tips, and he's got little tips all along the way. So there's tips in here in dissolving the sugar, tips on pouring hot honeycomb on in the freezer, cold baking paper lined tray stops the sugar temperature from increasing while helping the honeycomb form and set quickly. So lots of tips and tricks from Zacchary Bird as you roll along here. We've got chai ice cream. I'm into that. Baklava froyo. Now, does this use? Yep, it uses some of the baklava roughly chopped. So you're just mixing that in. Overloaded chocolate bark. Ooh, this looks good. Chocolate bark. Finally, a dessert, he says, for people who want shortcuts. In this recipe, the Cheats caramel popcorn and a big handful of pretzels get coated in melted dark chocolate and left to set as big chunks of bark. Swap in vegan-friendly candies or marshmallows, salted potato chips, or chunks of honeycomb. It's all good, he says. We got beer-battered chocolate bars. Dang. He says there's something about a beer-battered, deep-fried block of chocolate for dessert that can't be topped, but go for it and top it with ice cream as well. Man. This is one of the few recipes that I occasionally look at and think, well, that's a bit much. Eat while sitting down with your next of kin notified as the calorie coma sets in almost immediately. Zachary, you are not messing around, my friend. Dulce de leche tarts. Those look like a variation of it looks like a caramel peanut butter cup, essentially. Pumpkin pie. Oh, he's got a straight up pumpkin pie recipe in here. I don't know what it is about a pumpkin pie recipe, but it makes me feel good. I love it. And I can tell you already, just from that one banana bread I made, this recipe it might be the pumpkin pie I make this Thanksgiving, because hello, I know it's going to be good. All right, so he's got the basics chapter, which is going to close out this book for us. And let's see what he has for you to sort of make as staples or keep on hand, or that you can use in other recipes. He's got falafel, seitan chickpea chicken, rice paper bacon. He's got a mayonnaise recipe and a Japanese mayonnaise recipe, tzatziki mayonnaise, ranch dipping sauce, sour cream, cream cheese, tartar sauce. Man, he's doing it. Vegan honey. So what's the honey made out of? Apple juice and sugar and carob syrup. Look at that. Oh, and then for cream cheese, he's got a note to make this cream cheese even more spectacular. And by the way, it's a cashew-based cream cheese. To make it even more spectacular, make a dill cream cheese by adding the zest and juice of 1 lemon, 2 teaspoons of capers, along with 2 teaspoons of brine from the jar, and a garlic clove to the cream cheese mixture before processing to combine. Add a large handful of dill fronds and process briefly, then store in an airtight container in the fridge for up to 1 week. Man, does that dill cream cheese sound yummy, yummy. Chocolate hazelnut spread. He's got yourself a little Nutella. Is that what that would be? And that's what ends the book, that chocolate hazelnut spread. And I'm here for it. That is Vegan Junk Food, a down and dirty cookbook by the one and only Zacchary Bird. You can get this book and his follow-up, The Vegan Butcher, everywhere books are sold. So Vegan Junk Food and The Vegan Butcher available now everywhere books are sold. And of course, you can pre-order his next book, and I highly, highly recommend you do. The Vegan Baker. It's coming out October 3rd, and you must, I'm telling you, make the banana bread first thing when you get this book. You won't regret it. And I just want to share, for those of you that are watching, I just want you to see how beautiful this Vegan Baker book is. I mean, they all are really, really stunning books. But the cool thing about the Vegan Baker is it's got these little bookmarks in it. I'm constantly, I go through cookbooks and I'm constantly folding the pages over and stuff like that. So to have these little bookmarks in here, like David and I went through here last night, and I think let's see what we're bookmarked on. I'm curious to see. Let's see. Well, I bookmarked the banana bread because I made that last night. And then David's got the macarons bookmarked because David wants to make the macarons. So I think we're going to be making some macarons this weekend. And of course, listen, you can follow Zacchary on Instagram at Zacchary Bird, ZACCHARYBIRD. And I'm sure he's up on TikTok as well, as I mentioned, how the youth do. And remember, you can now follow me on Instagram at the Dustin Harder and find out more about my free cooking club I offer once a month and my one-on-one strategy and cooking coaching at my new website, dustinharder.com. Thank you for tuning in today. Come back next week for a brand new episode. Until then, keep on cooking. And remember, it's nice to be nice. This has been a Muzzy Cat production.